Arcade. This is Danny the Oceanside Player.
And this is Ubernerd 527. And we are here. We are excited. Are you excited, Danny?
Yes, I am.
Oh, man. I'm so happy because we are here to start up a brand new segment for the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater Podcast. By the way, welcome to the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater Podcast, everyone. We are here to start up a brand new segment on the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater Podcast entitled Pokemon Rewind. Now, we're going to get into what Pokemon Rewind is all about, but you probably already can guess. What is this show going to be about Danny?
Well, to put it in simple words, this is going to be about probably one of the best video games out there, Pokemon itself.
That's right. We're going to be talking a lot about Pokemon. Now, we're going to specifically go on to the anime, but we may talk a few things about the games and whatnot. Now, what we're doing in this episode is, I'm calling this a supplemental episode, because we're going to be going over just a few things, why we decided to do this, what we're going to be doing. So, basically, let's start off with a little bit of history. Now, I first played Pokemon Red back in the day on my big fat Game Boy with the green screen. I got it for Christmas, and I was hooked instantly. But the reason why I wanted that game so badly was because of the anime. I watched the anime from the beginning, and actually was a fan of the anime at the beginning. Now, this may confuse you because, may confuse some of my listeners because I had said that I wasn't a big fan of the anime in one of my Ruby podcasts. Well, that's because I wasn't a big fan. I'm not a big fan of it now. I was back then when it first started. And the reason why is because as I grew older, I kind of got out of the target audience for the Pokemon anime because you have to remember one simple fact. This show is targeted for children. This show is not targeted for adults. So a lot of the stuff they do is for the kids and not for us adults. Now, I think they've gotten a little bit better. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't consistently watched Pokemon since the beginning. But actually, I think that's another really good thing about me going through these episodes. And some of them I haven't even seen. There are even full story arcs I haven't even seen yet. Now, I've seen all the movies, but I haven't. There's whole story arcs I haven't seen. Now, what about you, Danny?
Well, oh boy, where do we begin? Well, for me, yeah, I mean, my introduction to Pokemon was kind of a mixture of different things. I can't remember exactly which spot or like where it was that I got it really caught my attention, because it was pretty much like it was kind of a mishmash, because I would hear about this about this upcoming video game that was coming out for the Game Boy, which of course is and I would see like commercials and things like that with this interesting game coming out, and I didn't know what it was. And then when they said it was Pokemon, I thought, that's an interesting little name. Of course, it wasn't until years later that I found out, oh yeah, that's just a Japanese term for Pokemon. But basically, it was back. I mean, granted, when I first saw the game, and started hearing about it, it didn't really connect with me at first. But then, when this is around the same time that back when Fox Kids was pretty much on its last legs, basically. I remember when I would get home, specifically on Wednesdays, from I think it was either basically I was either in 8th grade or 9th grade. It was one of those. It might have been 9th grade, but I remember on Wednesdays because I had early days. I would come home and I would get there just in time to be like either in the middle or towards the end of the show, which was basically the Pokemon show. And I remember the first episode I saw was the episode, and I can't remember the name, but I remember the end of the episode was where Ash, Misty, and Brock were walking, and Ash comes across this sign that's pointing to the next town, and it just so happens that he sees right below, on the bottom part of the sign, there's a sign that says, "Gary was here, Ash is a loser." and of course, again, I can't remember what the name of the episode was, so I'm sure our listeners will basically be saying in their iPods what it is. But basically, when I saw that scene, and of course, what happened with Ash just completely, went off the rails a bit. It's like, oh, Jerry, I'm gonna get you, that kind of thing. And then of course, and that was the first episode that I saw. But it wasn't until I actually saw the end scene, which was basically the intro. When I heard that, I'm like, whoa, okay, this is something different. And then right after that, Fox Kids went the way of the dinosaurs. But fortunately, though, Kids WB was still, I believe this is when Kids WB was really starting to pick up steam. And then all of a sudden, Pokemon showed up on there. And then from then on, I just started watching it and watching it and watching it. Mm-hmm. And of course, the fact that it was, season 1, the Indigo League, that also really helped a lot.
Right.
And just seeing all the crazy adventures and hijinks that Ash would get into. And unfortunately, at the time, they were giving the episodes a bit out of order, so I really wasn't familiar with what was going on in terms of, like, okay, well, what's this, or what's going on, or, like, how come its Pokemon are a little bit different. But then as time went by and they started doing, like, because as they used to do, they don't do that as much these days, but they would do reruns of old episodes. And I started to see how Ash, got his start, and how he got a hold of his Pokemon, and how some of them either went away or certain ones evolved, and just like the usual thing. And then seeing how it progressed, and then of course from then on it then transitioned into the Orange Islands, and of course the big not the big hook, but one of the hooks they had was the fact that when his Charmander evolved into Charmeleon and then Charizard, Ash had his hands full in terms of trying to get Charizard to listen to him. Mm-hmm. Of course, granted, there would be a payoff close to the end of the Orange Island saga, but so basically it was both the Indigo League and the Orange Islands saga, or excuse me, Adventures in the Orange Islands,
right?
Where that really caught my attention.
Well, cool. Well, I have to say I probably dropped out of Pokemon around the Ruby and Sapphire generation. I think actually that's where Pokemon lost a lot of the fans, was around that generation, because of a lot of the game wasn't as good as, in fact, to this day I believe the Gold and Silver Crystal generation, the second generation of Pokemon, was probably the best generation of all time. And then they went to Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and the game was good, don't get me wrong. However, it just wasn't as good as Gold and Silver was. And I think they kind of lost a lot of the Pokemon fans. And the anime, like I said, became very formulaic. Became very the same. And I think as I was getting older and realizing this, it just didn't appeal to me anymore. So I just kind of dropped out of it around the Ruby Sapphire generation, and I haven't really watched it consistently since. Well, that all changed a few weeks ago. I actually saw Pokemon X and Y, the first season of Pokemon X and Y, or at least the first 24 episodes of Pokemon X and Y on DVD on sale, and I said, well, what the heck not, So I came home and started watching it, and it actually wasn't terrible. It had its moments, but again, like I said before, this is a show that you have to remember is not geared to adults. It's geared to kids, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the best things about the anime is that it does something that the video game could never, well, at least for now, cannot do. And that is, you see Pokemon living and breathing in this world. You see them walking around, you see them eating, you see them doing all kinds of different things. And you can't see that in the video game. You can only imagine it in your mind.
True.
Even with X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, even though they have 3D graphics, the Pokemon are still very static moving, still very still. And, even though they do a few things nowadays, for instance, I just started I finished Pokemon Omega Ruby a long time ago, but my brother gave me his Alpha Sapphire version, and so I restarted it and started from the beginning. I got a Torchic to begin with, and Torchic, when he does a physical move, will run up to the Pokemon, do move its little legs, and then kind of do this little run back to you. Which is kind of a nice touch, but that doesn't really give me much about this Pokemon. What does this Pokemon really look like as an animal out in the wild,
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the strengths of the anime is that they can do that. They can show exactly what Pokemon would look like if we lived in a Pokemon world. Forgive me for
Right.
using lyrics from a theme song.
Nope.
So,
Not at all.
anyways, so real quick, let's go over our
Oh,
favorite Pokemon.
before we,
Oh,
yeah,
go ahead,
sorry,
go
didn't
ahead,
mean
go
to
ahead.
jump in.
Yeah.
But just to add to that, it was actually the anime as that pretty much got me into the game.
Oh no,
And
no, I
then,
totally agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, and Yellow was my first one, but then again, considering that Pikachu was your first Pokemon and not Charmander or Squirtle or Bulbasaur, and the fact that Pikachu actually follows you around and you can actually interact with him to a certain extent, and the fact that you got the other three Pokemon later on, and the fact that the anime followed the show. What I learned about Yellow is that if you didn't get Red and Blue, that's okay. You didn't have to worry about that because you pretty much had in essence I guess they call it product continuity. Where you
Right.
could actually purchase the game, that specifically Pokemon Yellow, and just kind of be like, hey, I'm in the TV show now, or at least as close as you could get anyway. And then of course Silver, which again to this day is still one of my personal favorites. But
Right.
I do have Pokemon wise, so that might change
Right.
as I play it.
So, speaking of Pokemon, real quickly, I just want to go over some fun things, and then we're actually going to go into what to expect with this podcast. First of all, what was your favorite Pokemon, Danny? Who's your favorite? There's 715 Pokemon. Pick one.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, you know what? I will not be Captain Obvious this time and go for the usual one, but instead I will go for the legendary Pokemon.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
actually that was going to be my next question. Is what was your favorite legendary?
Okay, all right.
You jumped
Okay,
ahead.
all right. Jump ahead. Okay.
That's okay.
Well, again, I am like Aladdin, so gotta be one jump ahead.
That's right. There you go.
Anyway, okay. So for the regular Pokemon,
Right.
legendary, it would have to pretty much be Pidgeot.
Wow, Pidgeot. That's an unusual
Mainly
choice.
because, and the reason why is because, granted, there's a lot of different Pokemon, but there's just something about when you see Pidgey, and look how cute it is, and then Pidgeotto, and then Pidgeot, and both from the first Pokemon movie to that the one episode where Pidgeotto evolved finally, and Ash got a chance to fly on him. It's like you can't. Come on. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to fly on top of a giant bird and just soar off? And just come on. There's nothing like that.
All right.
There really isn't.
All right. Well, we already know your favorite legendary, so I'm not going to ask you. So we'll go on to my favorite Pokemon. My favorite is the Charmander line, all of them.
Oh yeah.
Charmander was my first Pokemon. He was my very, very first Pokemon when I started for my red version when I got it for Christmas. He was the Pokemon. That was the Pokemon I knew was going to be my starter. Like I saw him, I saw Charizard on the box, and I knew right away that's my starter. I didn't hesitate. I didn't have to think about it. It was automatic. Charizard's my starter. Charmander's my starter. I want a Charizard. I'm gonna start with Charmander, and so the Charmander line is definitely my favorite Pokemon of all time. I know it's kind of cliche to say Charizard is your favorite Pokemon because there's so many Pokemon fans that love Charizard. And I just actually think it's a testament to how well designed the starters for the first generation were, because there's a lot of people that love Bulbasaur, love Blastoise, I to this day I still love Charizard. Now my favorite legendary, I actually agree with you, is Lugia. I love Lugia. Oh my gosh, that Pokemon is amazing. In fact, connecting to my favorite Pokemon, my favorite regular Pokemon, back when I first caught my Lugia in Silver, I had an epic battle between my Charizard and Lugia that ended up in me catching him. So to this day, like I think my imagination probably made it cooler than it actually was on the screen. But it was still pretty awesome. So yeah, I have to say it's definitely Charizard. Okay, let's move on to favorite Pokemon character. Now this could be a gym leader, it could be a trainer, it could be it could be a specific Pokemon character because even though we have Ash's Pikachu, we have other people's Pikachu's as well. There's several different Pikachu's that you meet throughout the series. We meet the surfing Pikachu. We meet what's that kid's Pikachu? Oh gosh, I forgot the kid's name. I'll probably see it when I Richie.
Which one?
Richie. Yeah, Richie. Yeah, there it goes.
Yep.
Richie.
Yep.
And his Pikachu. There's several different characters, so it could be any of those. So pick whatever you want, man.
Wow. Wow, that's because again we're talking about a lot of characters.
It could be human. It could be Pokemon. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, I guess my favorite character would be Brock.
Brock.
Brock. Yeah.
Wow. Very good choice. Very good choice.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I pick him is because he's my favorite because for one thing, he's besides being a gym leader, which automatically the guy has a lot of experience, and he really and again those are the episodes there are a lot of times where more often than not he knows exactly what kind of advice to give in certain situations. Granted, in the beginning, does Ash always take that advice to heart? Not at first, but later on he does end up following that advice. And even long after Brock leaves for a while, Ash does eventually start to take those lessons of advice to heart.
Right.
It's not spoken, but you can tell that Ash slowly starts to develop his own experience by following the advice that Brock would give him.
Right.
Plus the fact that come on, the fact that Brock has a cool Onix, come on, not even counting what Onix would eventually become, in later iterations, of course, or at least in the games anyway.
Well,
and also the fact.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
keep going.
Yeah, and also the fact that besides that, Brock's personality is anything but but rock. He's the kind of guy that you would love to have as your best friend or brother figure. And also the fact that he does have a weakness for pretty women. So yeah. Although sometimes he kind of almost even I kind of wanted to sweep in there and go, okay, Brock, chill.
Yeah. That joke really gets old after a while and kind of awkward. It's like, okay, we get it. You're the Johnny Bravo of this universe. We get it. My choice for favorite character, I don't know whether you're going to think this is weird or not. My choice is Misty. She is my favorite gym leader. Yes, I really like Misty. I think she's a really cool character. She was definitely, when I played Pokemon, because I had my Charmander, she was definitely one of the tougher gym leaders that I had to face, mainly because I didn't have anything that could beat a water type. But also I just really, as opposed to a lot of the other gym leaders, I just like her attitude. I just really love the character. Even in the anime, she's not too annoying. She can get annoying. I'm not gonna lie. There are times where she's like, "Okay, Misty, okay, hush up,"
Yeah.
But I really do like the character, and I even like her more in the manga. I'm actually going back. I have the box set of the mangas, the Pokemon Adventure mangas, and I have to say I actually love the mangas even more than I like the anime. But even in the manga, she's really awesome, and so I have to say that Misty's my favorite. So.
Wow, I'm curious. Because I only ever saw one volume of the manga in passing.
Right.
And I don't know if it was New York or someplace. I know it was somewhere, and I only browsed through it. I didn't really pay much attention.
It's really good, and I will just give a disclaimer to any parents who are listening. There are a lot of things that they do in the manga that they can't do in the anime, and it's not
Right.
necessarily anything sexual. But they do, especially the first set, the original set, does
Yeah.
a lot of things that the Pokemon anime would never do. But I won't go into what. You'll just have to trust me. So, great. I think that was a pretty fun discussion. Real quick before we end, I just want to go over a little bit about what Pokemon Rewind is going to be about. So what we're going to do is now it's going to mainly be me by myself. But every once in a while, Danny may join me. I may get a couple other Poke friends that may join me from other different things. But what we're going to do is we're going to choose a random story arc. I'm calling them story arcs and not seasons because some of them last for a long time. And we're going to pick a random story arc from Pokemon. And then once we pick the random story arc, we're going to go episode by episode in the story arc. So chronologically, in order, in that story arc. And basically, we're just going to talk about each episode. We're going to go over what we liked, what we didn't like. You know, maybe even talk a little bit about the Pokemon that are showcased in the episode. I probably will give. I will be giving a Reader's Digest version of the episode, and just so that it's aware right now, and I probably will repeat this at the beginning of each episode. Spoilers. There will be spoilers. I will be spoiling everything. So if you haven't watched any of these episodes, you should probably watch the episode first before listening to the podcast. Okay? Just so you know, just so you're aware, there will be spoilers, even though there has already been spoilers in this podcast. But a lot of the stuff we've talked about has been around for a very long time. So if you haven't seen it yet, you know, you're a little late on it.
Only a few spoilers. Nothing really too, nothing too substantial, nothing too huge anyway.
Right. So I also will not be going into too much controversy or anything like that. I know that there was a few censored episodes. There was a few deleted episodes. There was a lot of things that made people angry, like, for example, the GS ball. Yeah, I'm not going into that. All right? If you want to go into all that, there are plenty of YouTube videos that talk all about these. Okay? So feel free to go into that. I'm just going to talk about the story. I'm going to tell the story from in a very short form, and then I'm going to talk about whether I liked it, whether I didn't like it, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and all that stuff like that. Okay? So we want you to follow along. We also want you to comment, too. So if you liked the episode, if you liked what we talked about, if you have any facts that you want to maybe add, I am more than happy to put those up on the web. So please feel free to do that. And we'll tell you at the end, near the end of the podcast, exactly how to do that. Now, where are we going to start? We are going to start in a story arc called Adventures in the Orange Islands. And why am I starting with the quote-unquote second season of Pokemon? Well, for several different reasons. First of all, the Orange Islands is the only season of the anime that doesn't directly connect to the actual video game. Now, obviously, there are episodes of the anime that have nothing to do with the video game other than the fact that Pokemon are in it. Nothing to do with the actual storyline of the game or anything like that. But this whole story arc, these islands were not in Pokemon and have never been in Pokemon ever. And I think it's a great jumping off point because most of everyone that's a Pokemon fan that's probably going to be listening to this, they all seen probably the first season of Pokemon. You've seen where it went. You see where it goes. This is a chance to do something that not a lot of Pokemon fans have seen or heard of. And maybe if you're a young Pokemon fan that's listening to this, maybe you've never gone through the Orange Islands before with the anime. So this will be a great jumping off point. What do you think about that, Danny?
Personally, I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the best. I think it's the best idea to go on.
Right.
And a great way to kickstart the whole thing.
Now, just to give you some information about the Orange Islands. Now, the first episode of the Pokemon anime first premiered on April 1st, 1997 in America. And the first episode that we're going to be taking a look at in the Orange Islands debuted December 4th, 1999 in America. Now, it aired on January 28th, 1999 in Japan. Now, I found out a few things about this. Now, the quote-unquote first season of Pokemon was 80 episodes long. 80 episodes. That is the entire red, blue, green, yellow storyline. Okay? And it took 80 episodes to complete it. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, and then what happened was they actually ended that season. They ended the storyline way before Pokemon Gold and Silver came out in Japan. You got to remember, there's a larger gap between Pokemon, the original Pokemon games, and Gold and Silver in Japan than there was in America. In Japan, there was a 3-year gap. Okay?
Yep.
3 years. Okay? And Pokemon had to fill that 3 years. And they came up 11 months short. So they had to fill it with something, and that's where the Orange Islands basically came from. So they have a lot of characters that we've never seen before or even heard of. There's a few Pokemon that were premiered in the Orange Islands that were eventually going to be in Gold and Silver. Now, obviously, Togepi, one of the characters from one of the Pokemon from Gold and Silver, already premiered. But some other characters you'll find Meryl, the water Pokemon Meryl, and also Elekid also was showcased in one of the episodes. But I believe it wasn't like front and center. I think it's like a background character or something. They snuck it in. So that's basically what we're going to do. So we're going to start off with the first episode of the Orange Island story arc, which is an episode entitled, and please forgive me if I get this wrong because it's a tongue twister, Palette Party Panic. Yeah, I did it. Okay. Right. Palette Party Panic is the first episode. We're going to be going over that episode, and that's where we're going to start. Now, when will you be hearing this? You will probably be hearing this these episodes starting in January. Because of the holidays and everything coming up, I don't want to start committing to the show yet until after all the holidays have passed. So I just wanted to get this supplemental episode out so that people could get excited about it and get pumped and get ready for it. And maybe even watch the whole Orange Island arc before we actually go into it. So please feel free to do that. Now, these episodes will probably be shorter than the episode we're currently recording, because we're almost at half an hour now. Hopefully it'll be just as short as my Ruby podcast, but I make no promises. Also, if you want to follow along with us, you can actually go to Netflix. Netflix has most of the episodes of the Orange Islands League. And you could also find it on YouTube, obviously. Just type in Orange Islands. You can find it there. They do not have it on Hulu, so if you're on Hulu, unfortunately, they don't have the episodes. They may have it on Amazon, but I haven't checked, so make sure you check that before actually watching it. But you can follow us along with us on these episodes. They're not very difficult to find. And there are a lot of different places you can find them. They even have a Pokemon app with a lot of the episodes that we'll be watching. So I want to first thank you, Danny, for joining me on this podcast. Thank you for your insight, my friend.
Yep, no problem.
And he'll probably be joining me in a few more episodes as well. I know you've already picked out one episode. Now, don't say it yet, what it is. But you're really excited about that one. So I will tease people with that. And I want to thank you, the listeners. Now, remember, if you're excited about this, please let other Pokemon fans know this is coming. All right? Go on your social media, share the logo that we'll be putting up on the post. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater podcast on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe because that's where it'll be on. It'll be with the Ruby podcast too. So if you're listening to Ruby Roundup, it'll be on the same feed as that. So yeah, I'm excited. What about you, man?
Hey, I am set and I am ready for this thing, man.
Awesome.
I am ready.
Awesome. So we're going to end this podcast actually, one more thing before we end. You can contact us on the Arcade Archives website, thearcadearchives.com. Again, it's thearcadearchives.com. You can also tweet at us at either at TailsFTGameGrid. Again, that's at TailsFTGameGrid, or at Arcade A Network. Again, that's at Arcade A Network. Like I said, please get the word out there. Let Pokemon fans know that this is happening, and we will try our best to give a quality Pokemon podcast for you guys to listen to, and something a little bit different that that may be out there as well. So, anyways, anything you want to add there before we leave there, Danny?
No, just to tell everybody out there, get the word out. This is on its way, and of course, just stay tuned because Pokemon is going to be coming soon to an arcade hotspot near you.
All right, and we're going to end the podcast here with an actual clip from the first episode of the Adventures in the Orange Islands. Again, that episode's called Palette Party Panic. Bye, guys. Thank you for joining us. And here's the clip.
All right, take care.
Could you hurry up, please? There's lots of hungry people and Pokemon to feed.
Right. Our Team Rocket Pepper-Upper ought to fire this up.
And just wait till they get a taste of my molten lava mustard.
And a little super strength wasabi sauce will make their mouths go ballistic.
Here you go.
Bon appetit.
Thanks.
Be sure to eat it while it's hot.
Okay, guys, this ought to be enough to get us started.
Thanks, Ash.
Squirtle, Squirtle, Bulbasaur.
Okay, guys, dig in. Okay, Staryu, I think you better use your water gun attack to cool everybody down.
What's the matter with you guys? Aren't you tough enough to handle a little spicy food? Oh.
Thank you for joining us for this Arcade Archives Network video. If you like this, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and leave comments below. If you would like more, please go to thearcadearchives.com or zowie.kerpowie.com. Thank you so much once again for joining us for this Arcade Archives Network video, and don't forget to keep playing like it's 1981.
Message from headquarters. This is a Rebellion production and is part of the Arcade Archives Network. That is all.